Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
So last year's team was just a little different team and move forward, learn from the past and live in the present, right? But last year's team, that was our bugaboo, was the turnover. The two previous years I've been in here at San Marcos, we were fast, high assist, and low turnover for our style of play. Last year, the turnover got us, and we never really overcame it like we should, and we're really working on it this year. So something I had at Laterno, we do them here. We change the way we do them a little bit, but I call them my Be Solid drills, Be Solid series. So it's a start practice. When I was at Seven Lakes towards the end of my time there, and then at Laterno, we did them. We always would start practice with Be Solid series. So we had a list of, there's probably 20 drills, some staples that we would have, might be the baseline, the Spurs passing, Villanova passing, playing off two, just sharing, passing, partner passing, popping it, and really being intentional about two hands. So that helped a lot. When I was at Laterno, we actually led the nation in assist to turnover ratio one year. And we were always top in the ASC or top three. We have really good teams in the ASC, but out of those 10, 12 teams, we were always top three in assist to turnover ratio, usually number one. Here, we still do the Be Solid series, but what I find too is we're manipulating it more to do things against live play or dummy defense or just have someone there. But so we're still doing things. We'll have some passing drills. And everyone differs in their thoughts on this. I know Chris Oliver, I have so much respect for Chris Oliver, but I don't agree with everything he says, all the time. The 3-man weave, I know they have the shirts with the no 3-man weave and all that. And I totally get that.
McCormick right? And his fundamentals.
Exactly. And I totally get that. But I think every now and then, everything you do as a head coach, you should know the why. Right. And it's important the kids know the why, but so when you're looking at your practice plan, if you're doing 15 things in practice, what's the why? Is there a purpose for every one? And sometimes saying this, I don't want to point out, we don't do the 3-man week, but we do full court passing drills, 4-on-0 passing. And the purpose of that sometimes is a little different. What it is just get that ball, get that feel of the ball in your hands, popping it, running, sprinting, saying names. So we're talking early in our practice and just an energy drill for a couple minutes. Now, if we did 60 minutes of that, we probably wouldn't be any good.
Right.
But to do 2 minutes of that, just getting the energy and the clapping and popping the basketball, maybe setting a goal with our layups as part of it, that we do against the clock, so things like that. So we would do this. I'm kind of getting away a little bit, but bringing it back to turnovers. We try to do as much play off two and not always pass off two. Right now, if younger coach 20 years ago would go, what the hell is that pass that I let our guys, hook pass, whip pass? We throw all those, and I'm sure you guys do too, because you're very creative offensive coach. Well, I'm okay with that. That hook pass back off a ghost screen. And, so we're working all those and we work on those early in practice. And this year we really got to get our turnovers down. And I do, I heard Coach Neighbors say this, and he hasn't had to do it at Arkansas, but he said, and they play very fast on the women's side, high scoring, confident shooters. And he said, if the turnovers become a problem, we're going to slow it down. And the girls know that. So, that's the guys want to play fast, the girls want to play fast. So last year they became a little bit of a problem, and we did change styles of play. I'm not saying we got out of totally playing fast. We had a big man, offensive lineman, a great kid. He's at LSU right now as an offensive lineman, 6'8", and we played a little slower. This year we're back to probably the style of play I want, but you also have to fit your kids. And he was it's hard to play as fast as we want with him, but you got to adjust to it. So we'd go inside, play a little inside out. But this year we got to take care of the ball better and still play fast. We have a great point guard. We got some great scorers and players and Josiah and Donovan. And and just good role players around him and Sergio and all these guys. So I'm excited how they're blending and working this fall for that.
Know where I line up on the fake fundamentals idea or Chris Oliver. Like fake fundamentals, Brian McCormick says the 1 mile test is just ridiculous for basketball. And I can see that. He's very much against the 3-man weave. And man, I've done 3-man weave. We've done that here a lot. And I agree with you. I think working on passing is important because you do it 3 to 4, 5 more times than you ever shoot in games, as a player. And so that's a skill that's neglected. I think there's so many ways that you can get at passing. You can do it with stationary ball handling, which a lot of people are against too. But I think every time you do wraps like Pistol Pete taught, that is creating better feel and better control, which leads to better passing. So we're going to still do some of those things. One thing I try to do, especially when you want to play this style, is take some of the pressure off of the players. Take some of the things off of their plate. So at every parent meeting at the beginning of the year, I tell the parents and players, this is our style of play that we're trying to achieve offensively. Here are the 2 things that are going to happen. Early on, we're going to shoot a very low percentage. We're going to shoot a ton of threes that are open, and we're going to shoot, but we're not going to make very many. So right there, I'm kind of almost taking that, lifting that off of it. It's not up to the players. I'm already letting you know this is going to happen, guys. If you surprise me and make a ton, that's great. But right. I'm okay if you don't. And then the turnovers, I tell the parents the turnovers are going to be really high, but then come late November, early December, it's going to flip. Now, obviously, I don't want it to start that way, but I do believe it's like what Spoelstra said years ago when LeBron and all those guys were in Miami and they were trying to get up and down and play. He's like, right now, it's just too fast for them. But then he said at some point, it's going to slow down. They're still fast, but and he slowed his speech. And I think that is what happens is you got to teach foot on the gas from day one and allow the chaos to flow, but understanding that at some point it will slow down for them. I think what might stifle that is getting upset with those things early on. Hey, we're going to run for every turnover 10. Well, then they're not going to play hard and they're not fast and they're not going to take chances. Or listen, if we don't shoot a certain number, you can't shoot anymore. Well, then they're going to have that fear. I want them to be unconscious and I want them to have this type of confidence that borderlines insanity. But it is. But you mentioned something huge, though. You said playing off of 2 feet. Those habits, though, you do need to evaluate why we're missing, why we're turning it over, and go back to what your habits are. Because I believe that if you play fast with good habits, turnovers will go down over time. If you're just jumping off of 1 foot and playing with hope, based on hope all the time, I don't know if it's going to change.
Right. I agree. And that's playing fast and having a plan, right? Understanding spacing, where I got to get to. If you're a corner team and we are, we want to streak down the floor. Whenever we have a streaked player ahead of the defense, we want to throw it over the top. Yep. But the reality is that doesn't happen that much, in a game. So, we might get that twice a game. But then after that, we are sprinting to the corners, right?
It's dangerous place on the floor.
Yep. But what I tell you guys is declare land. Put the flag down in the corners. We have that space
like that,
and then we're playing out of that. And all the different things we can do into our dribble handoffs, into our pitch through, into our drag screen, into our slice action downhill. But then what we want to do is with that, if we play and teach the fundamentals playing off 2 and understand moving the ball, playing strong, and giving the guys confidence to shoot the ball, ultimately, as the team forms an offensive identity, the ball's going to find the right people. That's why I say sometimes the guys who are maybe your leading scorers early in the year and they didn't get their 20 points. First of all, please don't worry about that, guys. It's a long season. He'll take care of himself. Don't get caught up in the stats. But with saying that, as the season goes on, the ball's going to find the right people. It will. And you'll just see how that works. And then, the shots that the guys who need to take them a little more, they're going to get more. But it's fun to do that when you can do it fast. But I agree with you. Everybody at their press conference in college, there's rarely someone who says, we're going to play slow, we're going to grind it out,
we're going to have a bad culture.
Exactly. And have a bad culture, But then it's ultimately like everything. It's how you do anything is how you do everything. That's the quote. on our podcast, we have the Let's Talk Basketball, Lindy LaRock. She's an amazing coach at UNLV. And she said that, I know she didn't coin that, it came in from the business world, but that's a quote we tell our guys over and over. How you do anything is how you do everything. So each day we have to have these daily habits, and they will transform into our gameplay.
I love that you brought up the fact of the scoring, maybe coming from different people. I think that's one fear of playing more of a pace and space offense, positionless even at times, not running a lot of sets for players, especially on live ball. And that's one thing I feel really good about is in the last 11 years, I don't think I've ever, and that's not an exaggeration, but if it's made bucket and we're going or off of a miss or steal, I've never once stopped them. 2.5 minutes left in the game, different. If they're 8 points or less, we'll hold it because there's no shot clock. But other than that, we're gonna run and gun, and we're gonna do what we do. But I think that's a fear, is what if the wrong guys are taking shots? Well, one, goes back to skill work. I think you train them all to be like stars. Train them all the same way. Here's the level that we want our best players to be at, and train them all like that. I think it makes your best players better. But then, man, I think it raises the level of those players that are, if we dumb it down for these guys, nobody's really improving a ton. So the goal is to train them all like stars. But then you with good skill work and the right mentality with shooting and the confidence that you can instill, you don't really have a wrong guy on the floor anymore. But years ago when me and Wes Watson were kind of going through this, our first year was very balanced with all the guys we had. So we had 3 or 4 on the floor at all times that could shoot. The next year we had one really dynamic scorer and a bunch of good guys. And that was the fear. I was like, Coach, if we're just straight 4-out-1 in dribble drive, but Coach, what if AJ doesn't get enough touches? And like you said, playing fast, the ball has energy. It knows where to go. Players know, especially if you're doing shot selection and playing shooting games all the time, this is okay, but that's AJ right there. Man, I'm going to take that one more. And we're going to celebrate the crap out of that one more. I looked down at a halftime score, and he's got 25 at one point. I'm like, okay, we're not calling any plays for him. The dude's scoring. And I've just seen that over time. I rarely thought man, our best player just never touched it.
Yeah, I agree. And we at Laterno, we were fortunate to have Nate West, just a dynamic player. And it was the same thing. We had a few calls that we would call for Nate, but it was out of our flow of play that he would score and get these huge numbers. And obviously the guys know when Nate's hot, it's going to be one more to Nate, and get it in his hands and play out of that. And then we've also coached teams, throughout my years of coaching that there wasn't necessarily a true leading scorer, then I was going to figure out sometimes that could be very dangerous too to guard. It's scouting reports. Sometimes if a team runs a lot of sets, you kind of like that. So you feel like, okay, we can beat them the spots when they're calling this or that. And that's happened, against us in my years of coaching. So you find that the more free they can play and play with that trust, that it's hard to guard from a defensive perspective.
Do you feel like high school guys can notice when a player's hot and in the moment, be conscious enough to actually find them? Have you seen that?
I have seen it, and but sometimes they don't, especially the younger levels. If we're in our freshman gym practice and a kid hits 2 threes in a row, and then he's wide open and Johnny shoots the ball, you're like, dude, come on, man. Like everything, we try to even teach them that, just to understand, when someone's hot, let's find them, or let's set a screen. You're calling for Timmy, come here. I got you. I'm going to set that screen. Right. And go from there. But at the varsity level, I think they see that, guys maybe hit 2 threes and then they're like, hey, let's get them something. We have a couple calls that we have to try to find a quick 3. They're calling their name.
And I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Arsenault from Grinnell, maybe. But we were talking about this very thing because I have noticed over the years, because I am completely hands off. It is them creating it when we're flowing, what we say when we're flowing. I've noticed though at times the guy hit 2 or 3 and we're not actively searching for him or we're missing him. And then I don't want to get passive aggressive with them. Hey, it'd be a really good idea to find Bo. He just did.
Yeah.
But so what coach said is he would yell streak and the guy's name. Streak
Okay.
and the guy's name just meant in our flow, like we are all actively, we're not turning down stuff that's there. Like we're not running a play and missing the gold right in front of us, but we are actively searching for the guy. I
that's good.
experimented with it, but I thought maybe that's because I don't say much. So if you do yell streak, Bo,
right,
maybe that is a eyes up moment. Awareness.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And you sometimes you are blessed with a group maybe who has good basketball IQ of just kind of seeing that and recognize it, and the guys and the players are doing that. But that is a good way, and that's a deep Grinnell. But we never played him when I was at Laterno. But that'd be a tough team to prepare for. Obviously, the way they played 5 in, 5 out. Subbing.
It's on my bucket list. My bucket list to attend one of the games there. And on my shelf back here, it has, because I tried it here 1 year. I think at the high school level, it'll get you fired. I do, because you don't recruit the guys to do it. Had a parent meeting where I sold them on the hockey style. Like we're going to press on the ball always, all this stuff. And we were 7-2, averaging 94 a game. And then football came in, dynamic shifted, and all of a sudden, like dudes weren't getting the same amount of reps. Your best players are playing as much as your worst players. That rarely seems to work out well. And I had to abandon it halfway through the year. But I have my books back there that every so often, the road to 138, all of Jack Taylor scoring 138 points.
Right.
It's actually about the Grinnell system and how he came up with it. And all through the years, my wife always tells me, don't read those, because there is a part of me that I'm drawn to, because that is fast. Like that's as fast as you get.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.